I'm going to call to order the Redevelopment Authority meeting for May 23rd, 2016 at 7:01 p.m. At this time, I'm going to have the BDC also, members that are here, identify yourselves, please.
My name is Stephen Romano, and I'm the chairman of the Business Development Commission.
Robert Wilson, I'm with the Redevelopment Authority.
Brian.
Brian Abatello, member of the RDA.
Charles Boulay, member of the RDA.
Marlene.
Marlene McCollum, Planning Director.
Okay. And myself, I'm William Sinclair. I'm the chairman of the Redevelopment Authority. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening as we continue through this process with the urban renewal plan. I do want to thank everybody for coming last time. There was a lot of good information that we got out of meeting last meeting. So at this time, I'm going to have Marlene give a brief overview of some of the conceptual plans from that meeting that we had that staff has been working on. So, go ahead, Marlene.
Thank you. So for the Redevelopment Authority members, based on the comments that you received at the April meeting, we have developed a couple of alternatives for your consideration. They're on the sheets in front of you. This first one is Conceptual Plan A.A, and it allows for the for a potential industrial subdivision with 2 points of access off of Montello Street. The intersection of Montello and Route 58 is anticipated to be redesigned, and this configuration of buildings would allow large footprint buildings, including the 1 million plus square foot distribution center that you had seen at the April meeting. This plan is labeled Concept Plan A.B. It is also a potential industrial subdivision utilizing smaller footprint buildings instead of the large 1 million plus square foot distribution center. It also allows for 2 points of access off of Montello with a reconfigured curve at the Montello, on Montello. And it also has a realigned intersection at Route 58. Both of the Concept A plans would require the acquisition of the single-family residences that were discussed at the April meeting. Concept Plan B.A would avoid using the single-family residences properties in the center of the loop road there. So this would allow for the development of a large single parcel with large footprint buildings. It would also provide 2 points of access off of Montello Street along with the realigned curve and redesigned intersection at 58. And this development would only utilize vacant property, none of the property that currently has structures on it. So Concept Plan B.B also utilizes vacant land. No structures would need to be acquired. It's a potential industrial subdivision with the smaller footprint buildings with the same loop road configuration of Montello with 2 points of access, realigned curve and intersection leading into an industrial cul-de-sac for the internal circulation pattern. Concept Plan C.A would result in a large single parcel to accommodate the large footprint buildings. It would only have one point of access off of Montello Street, and it would restrict the use of the future site into, along the southern edge. It would avoid taking residential structures, but it would utilize some of the currently privately owned property for the roadway network. This plan would have the most limited improvement to Montello Street. So this configuration would not realign the curve at Montello. It would realign the intersection at 58 and then essentially lead into the site as, as far to the south as possible. Concept Plan C.B shows the similar circulation plan affecting the public ways of Montello and 58, leading the traffic into the site along the southern boundary. It would allow a potential industrial subdivision with multiple lots in the smaller building footprint. This plan would also avoid the use or the acquisition of any of the structures on the privately owned property, but would involve some acquisition of some of the property. And it would also limit the amount of improvement to Montello Street. So those are the 6 plans that were developed based on the comments. The first letter in the name denotes the circulation pattern. The second letter in the title denotes whether or not they're the large footprint buildings or the small footprint buildings. So we're trying to give you some different options to consider.
Comments from BDC? Do you guys have any?
My first reaction to the C, both of the Cs, that you're gonna have to do a fire road, because the fire chief's not gonna let you do one way in, one way out. At least, I remember. Thank you.
Oh, just probably should have let everybody know that we are being taped, so speak into the mic, okay? Sorry about that.
My first reaction was that on both the C plans, one in and one out, from my 9 years' experience on the planning board, you're not going to get that by the fire chief. You need 2 ways in and 2 ways out. I mean, that's the only thing that really stuck its head out, looking at the plan for the first time. Rob?
No, I totally agree. They just won't, fire department's just not gonna accept it.
Yeah, okay.
And also, we could probably on that one that's shown on C, point B, the road could be cut in instead of going through that property. Could take the loop way around, as shown in,
E.A.
yeah. A point B.
Which plan was that you were suggesting for the access? I usually
Oh, yeah.
CB.
He's talking about A.B. He's looking at A.B, I believe.
Gotcha.
A point B.
Yeah, Montello Street, egress.
So allow this.
Okay. Brian?
I felt the same way that they do about the other two, but I do like the fact that we now have a half a dozen options here versus just the two. And I guess my question would be, where does this, I'm looking at B.A, and it shows the road kind of like just going off in the direction of Plimpton, and then ending right at the back of what would be that, that other little mall there. So where does that, is that road going to end up coming into that parking lot area, or are we gonna just kind of like go off and use that same dirt road? Is that gonna be that egress?
So what this plan is showing is from Route 58 and the Montello Street intersection, Montello Street would be split to pretty much proceed directly into the site or T to the north. So that curve would be realigned as a T intersection.
Okay.
And then the current location of the easement, the 60-foot wide gravel easement, that would be closed. So that curb cut would be closed. Access to the site would be shown on the white lines on the plan.
Okay. So that white line that's going off and going out behind, so that'll be just a dead end? Is that what you're saying?
So this plan wouldn't show any dead ends. The internal network will follow along the parking lots internal to the site.
Okay.
The Montello Street would be redesigned to have the loop
All right.
into the site and then back out along what is the coal access right now. And then the curve would be taken out and a T intersection would be installed instead of that sharp curve. So the T intersection would be behind the Waterstone property. So if you're traveling behind the Waterstone property traveling south, right now there's a bend, a curve in the road, that would be controlled by a stop sign at a T intersection.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That's all I have.
Thanks, Ryan. Charlie, do you have anything?
I concur with the
Okay.
members.
Okay. So if I'm seeing these correctly, it looks like the conceptual plans, B-A is not having any effect on the residential houses there, but it does have some effect for access on property owned.
Yeah.
Majority of it would be the Coles, correct?
Yes, so the B.A plan would not require any demolition of structures. Property would need to be acquired for radii at intersections, and then property would need to be acquired at the realignment of the Montello Street T intersection where the curve is, but it would not involve any demolition.
Okay. I think the C plans don't have enough access going into the sites. It only has that one boulevard going in and out, so it would have to be somewhat of a combination to allow another access point to go in there.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you know, if that existing road coming off of Montello, looking at Plan C.B,
Yes.
that existing road coming into the project, if that were brought back into focus, then we have two means of egress into the property. And possibly delete the piece of road that goes between, where it says future R&D light manufacturing,
Yep,
down to where it says storm basin. You know, eliminate that piece there, would have a complete loop right through the whole project.
oh, I got you. So you to bring it this way. And eliminate that. Yep. You got that?
So a combination of conceptual plan C.B and B.A, is that what you're saying, on the roadway? About that loop. It's pretty slick.
We'd have to do some type of arrangement on that intersection there. Where Montello Street coming from Plimpton, or some type of a stop for rearranging the access there. Some type of stop sign there.
And the other point I'd like to make would be if we take, like on Plan CB,
Yep.
C point B, where it says new access road,
Yes,
okay? If we come in that and make that the same as what it shows on A point B, where you're staying away from the private property, you wouldn't have to access, you wouldn't have to take it over. Just a thought.
no, that's a good,
There's your two accesses right there.
yeah. It gets it more further away from the residents there.
So, use roadway. B. C.B. Combination of the two,
Yeah,
that would work.
I just want to make sure that I've got it scribbled correctly. What your thoughts are? Coming down this way,
Yeah, we come right in through here,
eliminate that.
where it's shown
Yep.
right there.
Yep.
All right, it comes through the access area that's already
Okay.
there. And we eliminate having to take over that piece of
I'll
property.
make this a T.
Make that T up there too, and come right in off of there. We eliminate this piece here,
Yep.
then we've got our loop.
Okay. 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 Any other questions, concerns? I know we're all just looking at this, so.
No, I think that, that suggestion makes a lot of sense, and it limits the intrusion.
Okay. Rob, you got anything else at this time?
I'm all set.
Steve?
I'm good.
Charlie? Good. You okay? Okay. All right. So, I don't know if you guys were able to follow some of the ideas that was kicking around, but it's a combination of a couple of plans, and what we'll do is we'll make sure that we have this out there for you so you guys can see it. I would like to hear from you guys again, because I thought that we got an awful lot of information from you guys. As you can see, multiple plans from staff have been put together. with this. I will ask you guys to be direct on some new information, please. Constructive criticism is great, so we're looking for your help on that. Want to hear new information from you guys if I would. I'll ask you to limit it to that. We are being taped, so we can get more information out to the public. I'll ask you to come up, identify yourself, and try to be brief. I'm hoping that everybody will be considerate. So I'll open it up to the floor if somebody would like to come up and voice an opinion, give us some information that we haven't heard from before. Sir?
I'm Bob Butler, I'm at 26 Montello. Looks like we're gonna need two accesses, one north and one south. I'd just like to encourage heavier use of the south to help keep most of the traffic away from the residential if possible. Right now you're talking of like there'd be equal access. Definitely the north entrance has to be there for fire, but if you can, just try to keep as much of it to the south away from the residential as possible.
Thank you, Bob. And we did get a lot of correspondences from you, and thank you. Anybody else? Please? Welcome.
Hi there.
Hi.
Lisa Mathioli of 11 Heathers Path. I'm going to actually speak about what Brian said about the access road and the usage of the street going towards Clinton.
Yeah.
If that is considered a second means of access to the park, is that what your intent is?
From the discussion that we had earlier between the board members, it's a combination of the 6 plans that we put together and another means of access to the site.
That is a dirt road that says no trucks. It is,
It's before that, ma'am.
but where are you going to get out? You have to go through Clinton to get 58. There's no way out that way unless you create a new access road that goes through USA Health and Fitness. You have to go through Clinton to get out.
The way that the proposal of what we've discussed has it looping up through the site and back out south of,
That shoot off road, what Brian said, are you accessing through Clinton? That goes through Clinton in order to get out.
I'm gonna point it out.
yeah, point it out. I'm losing it.
This is what we're talking about. This little piece right here. Short. This little Y right here. So what's this piece of the road going to look like in the future? Is what she's
That's
asking.
exactly my
Is
concern.
that gonna be
Unless-
an access point, because it's gonna go off into another part of town, or is it gonna come through here and then access through this piece of property?
That goes
No.
directly through Clinton.
I don't believe that's what we were talking about for trying to gain access into that site by using the existing roads.
So that's not gonna be an access point, that's what we're
Right.
saying, that's what she's asking, is that gonna be an access point
That's
for
what
the,
I was speaking to.
for the public, because it is a rattly dirt road.
Right.
So, Mr. Chairman, can
Yep,
I,
go ahead.
so the intent of the circulation pattern here is that the layout of Montello Street is a public way and it exists on the ground as it is. The truck traffic for the development will be limited to the use of Montello between 58 and the current, what's known as Park Avenue easement, which is the current 60-foot wide gravel easement that comes off of Montello to the west. The truck traffic for any proposed development here would be between 58 and the current Park Avenue. The existing portion of Montello Street in the town of Carver may be repaved and realigned and widened, but once it gets beyond the back of the Waterstone property, there's no improvements planned for it. So the trucks would be coming off of the ramps at 44, heading north on 58, turning left onto Montello Street. And one item that I omitted that I should have mentioned is that most likely On Route 58 northbound, you will be looking at a deceleration lane and left turn lane, and not a light, but a lane for stacking there to turn left onto the realigned Montello Street. But no improvements are contemplated for Montello Street across the town boundary, and there's no intention of providing access for trucks south of the existing Park Avenue.
But what about the traffic that is people who work there and who take from home and come to work? That road is not sufficient enough for travel. Or the amount of employees that would even work in those buildings through Clinton, because that's the only way to get in there.
I think
Unless you block the road.
I think the intent would be I think the intent is to keep the traffic to the southern part of the development, not to have it go up through the Plimpton access at all.
How would you say that that's going to possibly happen if you have a road that's heading that way? People are going to cut through that way. Unless you create another access road next to USA so they can get out of the park onto 58. They will use that road. People use it already.
Okay. I can't answer that question.
Well, that was our concern. That's what I was speaking to when you said that road.
Okay. We'll look at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The gate here, fire access only. Gate across here, fire access only.
Anybody else?
Oops, sorry, never mind.
My name's Gordon Massingham, I live on Montello Street, and I'm interested in the term vacant land. First time I saw it was in the earlier meeting, they passed out a list of properties that might be taken, and my property was listed as vacant land. Now, it says use the term again, we're only taking the vacant land that you refer to in my case happens to have my driveway on it and a well. Now, why is that vacant land? It's going to take away my well, or take away my driveway, and how's that going to work? I just don't understand it.
Okay. You want to see if you can better clarify the phrase vacant land?
So I'm using the term vacant as not improved with a structure. So if there is other types of improvements, that those would be relocated as part of the plan. So pavements, wells, septic fields, but not a structure.
So you would relocate my driveway and relocate the well, is that what you're saying?
Well, that would have to be a condition of this plan approval, is if any of that property is to be used and it's improved with anything, that would have to be relocated, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Melissa Singletary, 4 Heather's Path in Plimpton. Initially, I just want to say I can appreciate, and I do appreciate the fact that you guys are putting in some ideas for separating out the neighborhood from this development. Didn't seem like you guys were willing to do that in the initial meetings. So I personally can appreciate that you're trying to do this. However, some of the things that we did discuss at the last meeting, simple things, little thoughtful things like with that distribution center, flipping the parking lot so that's facing Route 44 instead of the neighborhood. Little thoughtful things that you can do to further separate out this from the neighborhood. I have a whole laundry list of questions, which obviously I'm not going to ask here. Maybe I should submit it to you guys.
If you could, please, that would be helpful.
With regards to traffic studies, police, fire, what's the total benefit of this? But at the same time, I can appreciate that you're trying, but this still to me and to, people that live here is still unacceptable. Like, why can't it be scaled down so that it's a little bit more livable for people that are trying to live here. I mean, you can say all you want that it's, oh, we're avoiding the neighborhood and the houses, but try telling that to the people that live right there. You're gonna send all this truck traffic just in a circle around their house? How is that fair to them? You know, so it's just one thing to think about is, you know, in addition to the whole laundry list of issues that I think we all have with this project, is you're really not helping with the neighborhood by sending them in a circle around their house. So if some more thought could be put into ways to separate out this neighborhood from this, I mean, I think it can be done. That's a huge parcel of land back there. So why can't we scale things back? That's just my 2 cents. Like I said, I appreciate what you guys are working on. I really do, and I'm grateful for it. But this is by no means, I think, a satisfactory plan.
And we appreciate that, and I think that a lot of the information that we got from our last meeting that we had, you can see the work that's been done by staff trying to accommodate some of the issues.
Right.
And I think, and I hope that you would submit your list to us, so that way we can look at that and try to implement some of the concerns.
Sure.
That's greatly appreciated.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else? And if any of you guys, you know, could be shy coming up or whatever, just feel free to send us your information, send whatever the concerns are. We could use all the information that you're giving to us, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Would it be possible, you know, we're taking that other second road that's existing and making that the second exit or entrance to the property?
The existing Park Ave,
Yeah.
okay?
Can we put a sign or a gate across there, the fire access only? So it can't be connected in, there won't be any, you're forcing all the traffic out the lower exit, is what I'm saying, entrance and exit. And leave the connection between Park Avenue and the other one, and the new entrance off Montello.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Good suggestion, Bob.
Hi, my name is Nancy Massingham, and I live at 24 Montello Street, and we talking about our land being taken here. I just don't understand why this committee and the town wants to impose all of this in the area, because, I mean, obviously it's going to reduce the value of our homes. No matter what, no matter how you figure it out or where the roads are going, what. Number two that I'm really concerned about is that I don't understand how urban renewal, this development, that we can through the process of eminent domain, because it's not a blighted area. It's an area of bogs, it's water here, and I don't understand the premise of all this. And for you to sit here and do different things is sort of frustrating to me, because I just think the whole concept is really unreasonable.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else, please? Sir?
My name's Alan Ming, I live on Plymouth Street. I'm not a contiguous landholder to this process.
Yep.
I'm more concerned with what's on in this town. I thought that question that was asked was quite relevant. I expected it to be answered. I didn't want to come and talk. I too have questions over two things. Urban renewal. We know what that means. Urban means a city, like Boston, Providence, maybe even Middleborough. This is not an urban area. This is not an urban area. When we have to move it under the roof of urban renewal, it immediately raises an awful lot of suspicions as to what kind of a square peg we're trying to fit into a round hole. The second part of that is eminent domain. Now, we all went to school, we all had little civics classes, some of us even went to college, some of us even have advanced degrees, but eminent domain refers to the taking of private property by a government entity for a public purpose, not to give it to somebody else, not to facilitate somebody else's project. And I think that we have to be very, very careful despite the fact there was a very wrong-headed Supreme Court decision made a number of years ago in Connecticut, people are aware of that and what happened after that. 11 states passed laws or constitutional amendments so it couldn't happen there. And I think that to see this sort of thing happening, I'm all for property development. I'm all for getting things going in this town. I think that since I've moved here 15 years ago, I've been very frustrated to see a lot of potential development signed. I think it can be done right, but I think it needs to be done in a fashion that does not raise people's suspicions and moreover, does not violate what we are as a country. I mean, I'm sorry to stand up here and be like some kind of, flag waving, Spirit of 76 boy here, but eminent domain is for public use. It is for public use. My family lost their house in the Massachusetts Turnpike in 1961. It caused a great deal of angst. For years, everybody talked about it. But at the end of the day, he said the state had to build a road through there. They had to build a road through there. It's a public use. Everybody uses it. 400,000 cars a day go by my mother's family's old house. I'm at peace with that. That had to happen. If something's being done in the eminent domain, specifically to benefit of private use, I think it needs to be thought about very, very carefully. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
And I would hope that the comment, question raised by the young lady who went before me, I would like to know what the answer to those two questions are. Why is something in in a rural area called urban renewal, why is it taking this to benefit a private project being done or considered under eminent domain? Those are the two questions of the day I have.
Thank you. Marlene, do you want to answer any of that?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
We will. Well, that being said, I'll make sure that we can get some type of clarification back to you. And it'll be to everybody who's on the email list. Please, come on up.
Richard Jackson, number 4 Heather's Path. I also own land in Carver, my yard is one of the divided lots. I just wonder if you could tell me and the people on television and people in the audience, like what benefit does using MGL 121B, the urban renewal law, what benefit does that give you besides, take people's houses? Is there any other benefit to the development?
I would say on my end, I'm looking at a better way to control the type of development that's going in there, and to control some of the traffic going into that point.
Okay, but aside from that, is there any other benefit to the town to use MGL 121B?
I believe.
Versus, say, just letting the developer who owns the land develop it?
I think the developer or a property owner anywhere in town could develop their property as long as they meet all the requirements set forth with the state and local legislation. I think the urban renewal plan allows us to look at a whole area, not just one piece of property, and try to better design the impacts that might happen to our community.
But that would include eminent domain taking people's property.
If necessary.
Well,
Which would be, let me be clear about that, which would be the very, very last thing that you'd ever see me do.
Well, I would hope so, but here we are months later after the first meeting, and I think it's been made pretty clear that, people are definitely against eminent domain and taking houses, but we still have plans here where you're showing people's land and you call it to be acquired. It's not to be acquired, it's eminent domain. You can use all the euphemisms that you'd like, but in reality, you're looking to take people's homes and their properties. And I'd like to just see those plans just taken off the table completely.
Okay.
If you could enter into private negotiation with the homeowner and they say, hey, that sounds like a good deal, I'll sell it to you guys. But to use the power of the state for commercial development and take people's homes, it's just, I don't know how you can do that in good conscience. I know I couldn't do it. I couldn't look somebody in the eye and tell them, hey, listen, you know, this is gonna benefit the community to build this warehouse, so I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna take your house. We're gonna pay you for it, and supposed to get a fair price and all, but what if they don't want, I just, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Please.
Jean Winslow, 28 Heather's Path, Clinton.
Welcome.
Thank you. I guess, besides this whole process, we went through all summer, starting last May, with the planning board. And I personally abut this property on the side of Heather's Path. I received a certified letter talking about, inviting me to participate in the plans. So we were given this plan, and I know you sat on the board for the planning board, so we received this, and it was a small, single area. There was gonna be 2 buildings, and I think they were probably about, I don't know, 450,000 square feet combined. So all summer long, we walked that property, we went through everything, and all of our concerns were addressed, and I know that you specifically were very concerned about the neighborhood.
Yep.
And you were concerned for the safety and the amount of trucks, which at that point were like 30 to 50 trucks. So for months we sat there and we went through everything and we listened to you, and we were pleased with all of the feedback we got. You all seem to be pleased with the feedback you received from us. And the fact that the last set of minutes were approved on October 27th, 2015, and in there, your own words verbatim was concerned for the neighborhood and concerned for the traffic and all of that, your own words.
Yep.
On November 18th, this plan came to light. 2.5 weeks after those minutes were approved, you sat on as the chairman of this board here and created a plan that totally disrupts the entire neighborhood, that entire area. You assured the neighbors that their safety and their, peace and quiet was of the utmost importance. And yet 2.5 weeks later, you spearhead this plan? How is that morally intact for you? I'm so concerned about that. And then my other question is to that. This plan here talks about taking homes, taking property, but the planning board notes from your June 9th minutes, it talked about the foreclosures were on the rise, and 7 homes have been saved to date by a plan that Carver has to help people save their homes. And I know that the Board of Selectmen touched on it at the last meeting we were at too, that there were still funds available to help people save their homes. So isn't that a little hypocritical to save people's homes? Okay, it's okay to save your home, but it's not okay to save your home. I'm so confused by this, that you alone, and I know that you're going to tell me it's a separate board, but the fact that you're the chairman of this board and you sit on another board and consoled us and understood, so we thought, how is this even possible?
So, can I respond to some of your concerns? First of all, back during that process at the planning board, none of this was even mentioned in the neighborhood, around, nothing. So how would I have known any of this anyways, number one? Number two, on that plan that you see, that you presented to people here from last summer, that the planning board had approved, they approved a permit for the existing parcel, no buildings on it, it's solely just to get the site ready on the Route 44 development site. Grading, bringing in fill, stuff like that. Had no buildings on it whatsoever. If there's an outline on there, there's an outline on there, but during any of the permitting process, there was never one of those buildings mentioned in the permit, in the decision at all. Second of all, when a conceptual idea comes up, whether it's on this board or another committee, whether I sit on it or not, I will be involved with it. I will have my nose into it. My impacts on this are the same as that they were before. My concern is for the public safety, whether it's from your neighbors or from the neighbors up in there, also from the businesses up in there. The type of development and the impacts to our community is what my concern is.
Not the impact to the neighboring towns?
To the community.
So if you're telling me that this initial site preparation redevelopment activities at former Route 44 sand and gravel special permit application, which included this distribution facility,
It didn't include a distribution facility.
this came from this packet that we worked on, this very page.
We walked that site and our permit was very specific on type of clearing and what was going to be brought in and established on that site. No building, no nothing.
I understand that, but
Okay.
this was given to us, this plan was
Yep.
given to us.
I got the
with
same
this
thing you
packet.
did.
Right.
I
So
went
how-
back in my notes and looked at it.
So I don't understand for the life of me how that just doesn't even, you're telling me that no plan was talked about whatsoever, just site preparation?
It was all site preparation on that.
Oh, I must.
That's just like this plan here is just conceptual. These are not buildings that are actually going to be structured and built. It's conceptual.
That just, I don't, is anybody else confused by this?
I'm sure you all are. Okay.
So, but, yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to just bring light to, Ms. McCollum said that there was no intention of putting in a light or an intersection there, a better intersection. You said,
That's
said-
on the 58?
Well, I said that it would be a left turn stacking lane from Route 58 northbound to Montello, not a light, a signalized intersection with a left turn arrow. So that the traffic study would have to determine whether those warrants are met to install a light, but there would at the very least have to be some sort of stacking lane and left turn lane there on 58 northbound.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Can I ask one last question?
Please come on up.
Melissa Singletary again. Sorry for not mentioning this on my first piece, but I just
You're okay.
Jean reminded me. So in our own kind of investigation of this company that seems to be behind this development, which is this Route 44 Development LLC, we looked into that LLC, and the people that are the agents for our Route 44 LLC are eminent domain lawyers based out of Boston. And all over their website is we save people's homes, we help people. We're eminent domain experts in state law. Yet they're the ones that are behind that distribution center, because that's their parcel of land. And they're also the ones that have said that they're backing and paying for all the town costs regarding litigation or anything regarding this urban renewal plan. Doesn't that just seem a little shady? I mean, we have eminent domain lawyers behind eminent domain taking? Just something I wanted to point out, because I just thought it was a very strange connection.
Thank you. Anybody else? Please.
Just one more thing I'd like to add. Exactly. Lisa Matthew, 11 Hunters Path. We were at your last Board of Selectmen meeting, and Alan Dunham suggested that there was transparency. So I would also like to reiterate that there is more transparency and communication. We were quite pleased, as Jeannie said last year when we met with you, and we thought, wow, they're listening. And then that this came to fruition weeks later. That's not transparency. There was no notification that this is happening, as opposed to certified letters. That's all I'm going to say. Transparency is key.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Bob Butler again, 26 Montello. I've been speaking with Marlene a few times. There was a list of properties, I think it was 26 or 28 properties in the development zone, some of which were highlighted in blue, meaning they're for acquisition, and some of them were white, which were, the label was no acquisition. And there's been stories that they're going to take everything, and I'd just like a clarification on, is there any chance that the white properties which are not to be acquired on that sheet, is there any intent to go after the not to be acquired properties?
So for the commission's information, based on your development plan that you're looking at tonight, that matrix will have to be revised based on the concept that you choose to proceed with. So if there are areas of parcels or entire parcels or structures that have to be acquired in order to fulfill that plan, it's all based on whichever of these plans or combination or an alternative of these plans that you proceed with that will determine what area is necessary to build that design. So depending on where you put your roads and depending on what type of layout you choose between the larger buildings or the smaller buildings, that will drive what land is necessary.
Thank you.
So if I understand it, that page could be considered preliminary as of now, and it is not a promise, it was a guideline of what the intent was at that time.
So the matrix that you had at your April meeting was based on the plan that you saw at your April meeting. For the commission's understanding, what you decide to proceed with for development will determine what space needs to be taken to build it. All of these plans are to be considered draft concept plans. Nothing has been final, nothing is written in stone, and nothing has been finalized until you vote to make it so.
Okay. So as I'm reading it, there is nothing at this time set in stone.
No.
However, all of your plans that I've seen today seems to be indicating that you're avoiding the taking of properties. That seems to be your intent as of now.
It is,
Or residential properties, I should say.
we're incorporating some of the concerns from our last meeting, and we have another one tonight, so we'll try to incorporate those and do the best of our ability not to acquire anybody's property.
But I'm best of my ability, as I said last time, I'm hearing a bit of weaseling,
Yep.
and I'm repeating, I'm hearing no absolute promises.
I don't know what the future's gonna draw out of this whole scenario.
Okay, very well, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dunham?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alan Dunham, 11 Orchard Street. Obviously, this has got a lot of interest on both sides of the town line. This is just kind of a request. I know according to your agenda, your next regular scheduled meeting could be June 27th. I would ask just that you have a lot of work to do to incorporate what you've gotten out of this meeting. But I would ask if maybe you could have one more meeting devoted to this with a notification that it is, public input is going to be sought. Because for this meeting, it really wasn't clear, because you might have had more people coming in to go ahead and have public comment. So I would just ask that you consider having one more additional meeting before your final meeting on the 27th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Kathy Cohen, Heather's Path in Clinton. I have a couple of questions, and I'm not a very good public speaker, so it may not come out clearly, but didn't someone or two groups purchase all of this land? And where are they? If there are people or companies that own this property now, where are they in all of this? Because aren't there different groups? Because I know that when we had been to the meeting back last year, it was the gentleman who spoke was a lawyer for that organization that owns some of that property. So why aren't they here saying what their plan is? And my other question is, are the people that are gonna be in those warehouses, are they gonna own those buildings, or are they going to lease those buildings? Because I can tell you with all the properties, with all of the buildings that there have been in that area, we have seen fires, drugs, kids have found needles after the buildings are left. We've seen people going and stealing the steel off of the buildings. I mean, it was disgraceful how it looked. And that was for a long period of time. I even had a friend of mine and I walked that area, and we almost got hit by 2 kids drag racing in their cars. And when we called the Carver police, and we had someone come, his response to us was, well, don't walk around here unless you want to be a victim. Now, this is what you're talking about, having these kind of buildings there. What happens if it folds? What happens if you started and can't get anywhere? That's what I'd like to know. And where are the people that own the land now that are proposing this or going to help you with this? Because you have to be getting the land from someone because someone else owns it. Those are my questions. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. And your name again, ma'am? I'm sorry?
Kathy Cohen, 20
Thank you.
North Ave.
Okay, anybody else?
You didn't answer the question.
I don't know the answers, ma'am.
That would be nice.
I don't know the answers.
Okay, well, you could have said that.
Okay. Anything from the board? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. We will be having another meeting prior to the one that we suggested. I will take Mr. Dunham's suggestion up front. We have work to do, so we will be having another meeting. I would hope that all of you guys will come and participate and help us through this process. Anything that you can submit to us, whether it's through Marlene's office, is greatly appreciated. Please submit your concerns. I'm sure they'll be very helpful. Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. Next on the agenda is property disposal of 94 Forest Street. Okay. This is a parcel of property that we have, and that we had designed and engineered. The next move is to go out and have somebody solicit.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You might want to just give him a couple minutes, we can't hear you.
Yep.
Sorry.
Thank
Should have waited to go to the bathroom then.
Okay. All right. So it's 94 Forest Street. That's a parcel property that we had Morse Engineering do the engineering design on. Our next step is to go to a realtor to market it and dispose of it. We normally use Century 21 Brenda. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Just a piece of property that, just remind me, where
Right
was that?
right off of Forest Street, it was a square piece of property that we received from the town in taxes. We had hired Morse Engineering to give us a conceptual design.
Yeah, I remember now. You have to clean it up a little bit
Yep.
to make it a little bit more,
I will
tasty for
say that
sale, yeah.
I did meet with Brenda and sat down with her, showed her the documentation, told her that we'd be having a meeting. Unfortunately, at that meeting, we didn't have a quorum to vote on to move forward with her to start marketing it. That's the next step for us.
Okay, so we're about,
Just a motion to,
make a motion to use Century 21 to move forward on this property, 94 Forest Street.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to use Century 21 to move forward on the disposition of 94 Forest Street. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Governor's appointment for a vacant seat. We still have that out there. Didn't know, I know Mr. Romano had voiced some interest. That appointment is out there. Don't know what the status is on anybody's idea or anybody in the community or anything like that. But that governor's appointment seat is still available for this board.
Can I just, I try to retrieve my resume off of an old hard drive and couldn't do it.
Okay.
So I'm currently at the moment recreating my resume on the government side, not the 30 years I spent in the real world. So it's a little more difficult than just copying what I have. You know, I'm trying to emphasize that I, was, been on the finance committee, elected planning board 9 years, business development commission for almost 20 years, treasurer collector for 12 years. Just, trying to develop a resume more for the government side, which is obviously a little more difficult than what I had on the other computer.
Did you try Charlie Trip
No.
at the silo?
Oh, yeah.
Computer Advantage?
The hard drive's gone. It's gone.
Well, I just wanted to bring it out there that
But yeah, I'm still interested. It's
that's available. Anybody out there that has an interest, you can get with Marlene. Marlene will be more than happy to help you guys.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's good at this. Before I get on to item number 4, I just wanted to ask if there's any Carver residents that have any questions towards this Route 44 urban renewal plan. If you guys, I see you're still here, so I just want to make sure that if you guys had questions, at least you're being heard. If not, we'll move forward. Thank you. Number 4, Article 40 from the May 21st, 2007 town meeting. Transfer of property at 17 Green Street from the Board of Selectmen to the Redevelopment Authority. This is the property that is in question is the old Green Street, the Grange Hall.
Oh, yeah.
That property there, that was brought to town meeting to transfer over to the RDA. That never happened. And from what my understanding is that there is a person of interest to purchase that site. So I don't know what the pleasure of the board is. The town meeting vote was to transfer it to us for disposal. Do you guys want us to write a letter to the selectmen, seeing if they want to move forward on that, and give them whatever information that we have on this potential
Yeah, let's do
person?
that.
Yes.
Want to do that? So we'll draft a letter to the Board of Selectmen. I'll sign it and see if we can get some more information for them on transferring that over to us. Okay, bills payable. We have a couple bills here from Christine. One normal, one is $75 for April 30th is the date of the invoice. That is date of service is April 13th, RDA meeting. And we also have a meeting of April 12th where we didn't have a quorum, but she was here and we normally pay people. So, looking for a motion to pay those bills for Christine.
Yeah, make a motion to pay the bills payable for Christine's service.
Okay, do I have a second?
It's,
Second.
okay.
Motion made, seconded to pay Christine's 2 bills. Total would be $100. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will need one of you guys to hang around to
I'll stick
sign
around.
checks, okay? Next, we have a bill from Hayes Development Services in reference to the urban renewal project. It's a total of $1,800, 12 hours of service. I'll just read into the record summary. Ongoing advancement and review of materials relevant to the preparation of the proposed North Carver Urban Renewal Plan. Review, update conceptual plan, updated master parcel owner project area data matrix to integrate new concept plan and modifications from clients. Discuss upcoming public meeting with town and CRA chair. Attend public meeting, discuss the follow-up with town staff. reviewed urban renewal overview for upcoming selectmen's meeting. Reach out to the Mass Bureau of Relocation to confirm relocation plan triggers. That was the date of May 9, 2016 for Maureen Hayes.
So let's make a motion to pay Maureen Hayes for $1,800 for the services rendered on May 9th, 2016.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to pay Hayes Development Service $1,800. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, thank you. Minutes of March 21st. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
What's the pleasure, guys?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to accept the minutes of March 21st, 2016. Any other concerns, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Minutes of April 13th, 2016. What is the pleasure? Good job on the minutes for that meeting.
Make a motion to accept the minutes for April 13th, 2016.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to accept the minutes of April 13th, 2016. Any other discussion or concern? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next meeting is scheduled for June 27th, but upon the request of the public, what would be another meeting?
That's not gonna happen for me. That's my anniversary. I won't be around.
On the 27th?
June 27th?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll need to reschedule 2 meetings?
Let's start with the first one. How long do you think to maybe get some input and try to get a more defined conceptual plan?
I'll need you to provide me with some direction on what you'd like the concept plan to show.
Yep.
And then I can turn that around in a couple of days.
Okay.
We could do a mid-May, mid-June if you want. I mean, you know, so that way you can have, we can put our heads together and discuss what you're talking about. And then if you know, we could push that past July 4th, obviously, because July 4th is the next week.
Well, the 13th, we have a pretty strong agenda on the 13th for,
Yeah, we cannot double book the water district.
So the 6th of June is 2 weeks out. Is that too soon? Other than that, we're off to the 20th, which we have a master plan meeting. Or a different day other than a Monday. I know Mondays are good for BDC members.
Yep. I'll be gone, I will not be around.
Yeah.
The week of the 26th.
Okay.
So I'm leaving on the Friday, So it'll be like the 23rd or 22nd, I'll be leaving.
So why don't we try to shoot for the 6th of June?
I can do that.
6th of June, okay?
What day is that, Monday?
It's a Monday night. And it'll be, the only thing on the agenda will be the urban renewal.
Will you expect to have revised plans available at June 6th for people to discuss?
I would like to see the one that we were trying to outline there with the accesses.
So one revised plan?
Yeah, and maybe somewhat of a matrix of the impacts like the gentleman was asking of to be acquired, not to be acquired. I don't know if that's
You're talking about,
this one that we did here, the CB with all the other different access.
we're talking about the gentleman with the well and the driveway? Yeah.
Ask him if it matches that.
That was in Massachusetts.
Just ask him if it matches that.
This?
See, that's the CB, the way I drew it.
Yeah.
From what I understood, does that match?
That looks like.
Or is it
It's
close?
close, but this one here,
Yeah.
it's on the other side of the store.
You need a dog leg down here.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Working at this gross scale, I cannot reliably speak to locations of wells or septic fields or residential
I
driveways.
got that.
Okay.
That's just, I understand that part. But I think if we come out with that type of, that, at least we can have a pretty good discussion if we can get it out to the public. So that way when they come, they'll be able to see that. We'll be able to get some more input. That'd be great. You better narrow it down. Okay. So you want to shoot for the 6th? Is the 6th working in the schedule?
Right now, yeah.
Can I have a motion for the schedule the next RDA meeting?
Sure.
for-
Make a motion to schedule the next RDA meeting for June 6th at what time?
7
Second.
PM.
7 o'clock. Now you can second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So then that's gonna put us out, because Brian will be away on the week of the 26th. And then we have July 4th coming into play then. What the hell is that? Oh. So that gets us into roughly the 11th of July.
Yeah, the Monday after the 4th.
Yep.
I'll be in Chicago.
Can I go with you?
White Sox.
So you'll be in Chicago.
On the 11th and 12th.
How's the 18th looking? Well, that's okay there. Mine's looking all right for the 18th. I know it's out a little bit, but you guys, it's a Monday. I'm trying to stay on the Monday nights.
July 18th?
Yep.
Yeah. I know the plans.
So for the board's planning your schedule here, July 18th, so June 6th, if the objective of the June 6th meeting is to essentially finalize a concept plan and land on a proposed layout. And then between June 6th and July 18th, that would be our window of time to develop the urban renewal plan based on the June 6th concept.
Correct.
To put together all of the market information and the costs of development and infrastructure and everything to actually come to you with the draft urban renewal plan. in its entirety. Are we on the same page with that?
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
give like 4 weeks for Frank Mahady and everybody to,
Yeah.
we should have a pretty good document by then, I would think. So you want to schedule the 18th then? Entertain a motion.
Make a
Motion
motion,
to-
we accept the 18th.
You have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to schedule the July 18th as the meeting for the urban renewal. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 8:17.